It's a nice day here in Boonville, Missouri. Pretty little town in central Missouri. And I sit right here and work right from this little table most days. So it is my 60th birthday today. Um, and I had a conversation with a client of mine I've worked with for a couple of years um, who brought up castor oil. And I can't find what she brought up about it, but it was interesting. Her previous gynecologist in Columbia, Missouri, was a big proponent of castor oil for health benefits. And she was talking about the fact that castor oil could be used in place of omega-3. I can't find that, so I'm not sure if she's got the thing that he was talking about mixed up. But you are probably eating or involving yourself with castor oil, whether you know it or not. It's kind of amazing what they use it for. So I got thinking about when I was in the 1960s, when I was little. It was one of those things where, hey, thanks for the birthday wishes. It was a thing where I figured out pretty early if I was sick, or if I told my mother I was sick, she was going to give me a dose of castor oil. If you've ever done that, you'll know why I wouldn't tell my mother I was sick even if I was sick, because I knew I was going to get the castor oil. Kind of like when you get a scrape and they put that iodine stuff on you and it stings so bad. So I got thinking, okay, so how's castor oil used? It's cheap. I mean, it's still around. You can find it pretty easy. But I don't think most mothers are giving their kids castor oil anymore. There are some benefits. We're going to talk about 30 of them. Let's give you a little history of castor oil. So castor oil is pressed from castor beans. So you get the oil, it's a vegetable oil, by pressing castor beans. Most of it's produced in India and China, of course. It is a triglyceride, so it's a lipid, it's a fatty acid. And 90% of the fatty acid in castor oil is ricinoleates, is what it's called. Oleate and linoleates are the other significant components. However, if you have the idea that you're just going to grow some castor beans and press them and get the oil out of them, the way they make it by heating it up is they want to get rid of the ricin that's in it. So castor beans have ricin. Any of you that watched, not Sons of Anarchy, can't think of the name of the show with Walter White in it. I'm blocking the name. I don't know why. But ricin was used in that show, kept coming up as a way to poison people. So ricin is poisonous. Breaking Bad's the name of the show. So that got me thinking, oh, well, it's considered actually dangerous to harvest castor beans and make the oil and press the oil for yourself because you're potentially exposed to ricin. Okay, so how common is it? Pretty. Annually, 600 to 800 million pounds of castor oil are produced every year. Okay, one of the benefits of it is that it has a high boiling point. So in order to boil castor oil, you have to heat it up to 595 degrees Fahrenheit or 313 degrees centigrade. So it's kind of used as, because of that property, it's kind of used as a lubricant. So this is used in food. For instance, when I said you're probably eating castor oil and you don't know it, in the food industry, castor oil, it's a food grade, is used as a food additive. It's used in flavorings, and it's used in candy, chocolate. And what it does is inhibit mold, and it's used as a packaging. So a lot of, like in Nepal and Pakistan, they coat castor oil to prevent rot of food products. If you've ever had a yeast infection and used miconazole, it's in that prescription medication for yeast infection. So miconazole is used in a cancer chemotherapy drug. Um, and then the the oil company Castrol comes, Castrol, motor oil, comes from castor oil. That's how they came up with their name. So it's used in industrial chemicals, aviation, lubrication, jet, diesel, and racing engines. However, it tends to gum up, so a lot of people don't do that for racing engines. And you apparently can coat your bicycle pump rubber with castor oil because it doesn't degrade the rubber. So those of you that are bicyclists, you can use castor oil to help maintain your bicycle air pump. Okay, so it is typically a pale yellow color. It can be also, it can also be colorless, but the ones that I remember doesn't seem like they were pale yellow. It seems like they were brown, so that makes me wonder if there was a little bit of iodine in there as well. So what do you use it for? So from a health perspective, can you use castor oil? Because it used to be, it was kind of the thing back in the 50s and 60s. If your kids were sick, you gave them castor oil, or if you were sick, you took a teaspoon of castor oil. Okay, it is considered. So here's 30 uses of castor oil that aren't lubricating your racing engines. So it's a natural arthritis remedy. So actually, if you got sore muscles, or you got sore joints, knees, etc., inflammation of nerves, neuritis, and all that. So a lot of people are taking, like for neuritis, they're taking gabapentin. Supposedly, if you mix castor oil in with other massage oil, you can actually decrease the inflammation. It's an anti-inflammatory oil because of the ricinoleic acid that's in it. It's considered safe. The FDA considers it safe, but there's no FDA-approved indications or uses for castor oil. So this is all kind of anecdotal. And of course, it's been around forever. It dates back to ancient Egypt. They've been using that castor oil since ancient Egyptian times. And there's several different kind of folklore remedies and mixtures and packs and pastes and all that stuff that you can mix castor oil in to get some of the properties of the castor oil. So you don't always just have to swallow castor oil, which is horrifying if you've ever done it. Okay, this one, and none of these, like I said, none of these are proven. They're not going to do a scientific study on something you can buy 30 cc's of for $5. There's not, it's not going to happen. Okay, number 2 of 30, getting rid of stretch marks. Okay, so a lot of times pregnancy-related stretch marks, and a lot of women use vitamin E oil on their abdomen for stretch marks. I had a woman from Mexico who was, I think she had she was in her 6th or 7th pregnancy, and she had a totally smooth, you could not tell she had ever been pregnant. Vitamin E oil was what everybody was using, and I'm trying to think, there was a supplement that she took religiously and swore up and down that's why she didn't have stretch marks. But if you have them, you can use vitamin E oil mixed with castor oil to try and help with stretch marks. So that happens with rapid weight loss. So people that lose a lot of weight, they tend to have that stretch mark look as well. So castor oil is used for a lot of skin conditions. We're going to go through all that. But basically, because of the fatty acids, it's a pretty good moisturizing agent. So theoretically, it helps with stretch marks. Because of the anti-inflammatory properties and the moisturizing properties, it's used for treating acne. Okay, and the acne is usually a staph aureus inflammation. So you get impurities and that accumulate in your pores. The skin gets irritated and inflamed. And so most of the benzoyl peroxide and salicylic acid treatments for acne dry the skin out. Okay, so castor oil is similar to neem oil. It's a natural resource. It draws out dirt, It draws out dead skin cells, excess oils, and bacteria without drying your skin out. So reasonable. So if you get, and it takes, I think, 2 weeks maybe. I'm looking at one of those little mixtures that you can use and put castor oil on the face. 14 days, and then you kind of prevent further acne doing the same kind of routine a couple times a week. And I'll put this up later so you guys can look at it if you want. There's all kinds of little thingies that you can mix pastes and all that, like I said. Okay, it's also, because of the acne, it's also used as a deep facial cleanser. So a lot of harsh chemicals on the market over the counter, and there's prescription facial cleaners. They dry out your skin. So because of the acne, anti-inflammatory, and moisturizing properties, castor oil is used as a deep cleanser to help get rid of acne, like I said, and deep clean your skin of dirt and bacteria. I don't know if anybody does that, but anybody I know anyway. I'm sure there are. Okay, fine lines and wrinkles. Okay, it penetrates into the skin pretty deep, and that apparently or supposedly stimulates production of elastin and collagen, which is one of the reasons that you get wrinkles in the first place. If you can stimulate collagen, so you can come see a guy like me that will do a vampire facial on you and inject platelet-rich plasma, or micro-inject platelet-rich plasma in your skin, and that trauma stimulates collagen and elastin production. Or you can try castor oil, way cheaper. Like $5 for that, $600 for a vampire facial. Okay, how about hair growth? It's been used, specifically Jamaican black castor oil, popular treatment for improving the health of your hair. So thicker hair. So if it's used on your roots, it can stimulate hair growth. Again, anecdotally, there is no scientific study that I've found that shows any of this to be true, but this is how it's used. Can reduce hair damage from products. Washing your hair every day actually damages your hair. So it's kind of like a good way to use a moisturizing or to re-moisturize your hair after you wash it. I don't know how often most people wash their hair. I can't wash it every day because my skin would fall off and my hair would all break. And of course, now I got enough hair, I've got to make sure it doesn't break, right? Okay, so improving hair, relieving constipation. Okay, so this is the typical one. And actually, Mussolini in Italy used this as like a torture thing. And so there's some Italian words that are related to castor oil that people in Italy still have a political idea about castor oil during the Mussolini reign, because they would just give people tons of castor oil and they would get horrible diarrhea, and then of course they would beat them as well. But it was, Italians, I guess, don't really talk about castor oil very much because of that. But it's been used for years and years and years to relieve constipation. So it's a pretty powerful laxative. It stimulates the large intestine specifically, and it purges the colon wall. So if you're impacted, and I've surgically treated an impacted patient before, she was miserable. So if she would have come in, if she would have come in before I had to put her to sleep to disimpact her, I'd have probably given her castor oil. So it's the fatty acid keeps liquid from being absorbed from the intestine, which is why if you take too much of it, you get diarrhea, which is what Mussolini was doing. So you're rehydrating the interior lumen of the colon so that the material passes through easier. Okay, so there's a constipation relief recipe with castor oil, lukewarm milk, and ginger, and how to do that. Okay, improving immune function. And this may be what the client yesterday, she happened to be seeing her gynecologist, so I met her for coffee, and she got at Panera, and she got talking about castor oil with the gynecologist she had before this one, who has passed. And I think maybe this is what she was alluding to. So omega-3 is what she thought. This is a way to improve lymphocyte levels. Okay, So it helps produce proper levels of lymphocytes that's then released into the lymphatic tissue of your lymph nodes, the thymus gland, and some tissue of the small intestine. And this one involves packs, so you don't necessarily have to ingest it per se. Okay, it's been a treatment for ringworm because because of its anti-inflammatory properties, and it's an anti-yeast oil. Okay, so ringworm, if you ever had it, it's caused by a fungus. It grows a little ring. It's not a worm, it's a fungus. It's a little ring of red rashes. I've seen that not very often, but about 20% of people, 1 in 5 people, have had ringworm at some point in their life. So apparently castor oil is a pretty good treatment for ringworm. And it's because of there's another acid, undecylenic acid, found in castor oil that's an antifungal agent and kills that fungus. Surgical scars, it's been used to minimize appearance of scars because of the oil and the lymphatic system and immune system properties. So potentially preventing scars, it won't eliminate a scar, but it may reduce appearances. So we've used platelet-rich plasma for that. Expensive. So if you can use castor oil, what the heck? Okay, so again, skin things. This is number 11. Heel, dry, and cracked heels. Okay, I wear flip-flops all summer, so about the time I can put flip-flops on, that's all I wear. And of course, my heels and my toenails basically kind of take a beating from that. Or I'm walking around barefoot. So you get cracked heels. There's plenty of little remedies, folklore remedies for making your heels better and moisturizer, but one of them is to put castor oil on them and put on your socks and go to bed. Vaseline, I've seen that. Onions supposedly do that. When I was younger, it's kind of funny, I had more skin trouble when I was younger, and I turned 60, and I mean my heels used to crack so much that they would get like divots in them that hurt, like you can almost stick not your finger in it, but a nice little thing that went all the way up into the tissue that was very uncomfortable to me. Okay, midwives have used this to induce labor. Okay, I saw a reference to asking midwives if they use castor oil to induce labor. 90% of them have used it. Okay, and so what it's doing is stimulating your bowels, but it tends to irritate the uterus, and that causes contractions. I've never tried that. That seems like it would be a cheaper way to do it than an oxytocin or pitocin drip or some of the other things that we've done. Number 13, relieving a sunburn. So most people use aloe, and that works wonderfully. I've done it. I usually have aloe plants. Wherever I'm living, I have aloe plants. Easiest way to not get a sunburn is stay out of the sun. Or if you're in the sun, you can use the SPF factor sunscreen, but then there's some issues with that, health issues with that. So castor oil alleviates the pain of a sunburn, and it tends to prevent blisters. Okay, and blisters, if you get a sunburn, if you've had a bad enough one and you get blisters, there's a risk of infection and inflammation, so castor oil can help prevent that. Okay, here's a cosmetic, and castor oil is used in the cosmetic industry. So some of the makeup and cosmetic products that women use a lot have castor oil in them. So thicker eyebrows. Okay, supposedly, and this one says proven, I couldn't find the reference to it, an effective way to grow and strengthen your hair as well as thicken your eyebrows. And as because of the antioxidant properties, the proteins, the vitamins, fatty acids, and nutrients in there to nurture hair follicles and fight against bacteria that can hinder growth of hair follicles. So for thicker eyebrows. Also for lengthening eyelashes. So the vitamin E, proteins, minerals, and antibacterial properties of this oil can strengthen and lengthen lashes when applied on a regular basis. apparently penetrates pretty deep. It moisturizes, refreshes the area, and prevents eyelash breakage. I don't know that, well, I've had eyelashes come out. I'm not sure I ever had one break, but maybe. Okay, long-term use, it takes a while, like 6 weeks, can help remove moles and skin tags. My mother had so many skin tags that if she had them surgically removed, they would have probably had to take most of her neck skin off. We never put castor oil on her, but she would have probably done it because she had, if you've had skin tags or if you have a lot of skin tags, they're just a pain, right? They're not dangerous or anything, but they are annoying. Okay, softening cuticles and eliminating brittle nails. So I'm going to try this on my toenails. You get to be old enough, you start worrying about getting fungus infection of toenails, and I've seen some horrifying ones. Even when I was, a medical student, I remember several of these older people at the VA hospital in Columbia. Some of these older guys that didn't do anything with their toenails, and they, grow out and get all yellow and infected and all that. And I'm thinking, boy, I never, who wants to ever have that? So pedicures are actually preventive for that. So a good pedicurist will keep you from getting that. But it does help with brittle and dry nails. It makes sense because of the oil properties of it. So you just massage it into your nails and cuticles every night and in your toenails. Okay, this is a non-medicinal one, but apparently it helps liven up ferns. So any of you all have fern plants, because of the minerals and vitamins in it, it can perk up ferns that are starting to get kind of unhealthy looking. You just combine it. I'll give you the recipe. Warm water, castor oil, baby shampoo, and you put a few drops into the soil, and then regular water. Okay, simple. Can also help get rid of moles in your yard. That's probably just because of the way it tastes, right? So castor oil, you mix 2 gallons of water, half a cup of castor oil, and pour it down the holes. And so it won't kill them, but it's unpleasant, just like when my mother would give me castor oil, right? Okay, so we talked about the lymphatic system. We talked about skin inflammation. It's kind of a replay, just in different words. So I'm not going to say that there's really 30 benefits I've found, because some of them are sort of the same thing. So reducing skin inflammation, that's just soaking a bandage. So you can help heal bug bites, rashes, mosquito bites, and itching because of the anti-inflammatory properties. Okay, fighting toenail fungus we went through. So you just soak your feet in warm water with Epsom salts, and then put castor oil on them. If you have a toenail fungus, and if you have it, you know it. Okay, those of you that are Carmex people, Carmex, I guess, isn't that expensive, but you can use castor oil for chapped lips. Makes pretty sense. You just put it on your lips. I wouldn't lick them, because then you get the taste of the castor oil. But so the topical mixture is lemon juice, glycerin, and castor oil. And you just put it on your lips a few times a day or before bed. Okay. Can it help with migraine symptoms? So it's a natural pain reliever because of the anti-inflammatory properties. So most pain is from inflammation, right? And so it helps to relieve symptoms of migraines and stress headaches and frontal headaches. Teaspoon of castor oil on your forehead. So now I'm going to try this one because I get migraines occasionally. Teaspoon of castor oil, you rub it in your forehead, supposedly relief starting 2 to 3 minutes later. Okay, because of the cramping that occurs during menstrual periods, it's been used on the lower abdomen to relieve symptoms of menstrual cramps and menstrual pain because of the analgesic and anti-inflammatory effect of the ricinoleic acid, right? I have no even anecdotal stories of women that use castor oil for menstrual cramps. Okay, this is a simple one. Mouth sores. If you've ever had canker sores, you know how annoying those are. So you can use, there's these little sticks, silver nitrate, that I used to use in gynecology. And if patients came in, had a canker sore, I would cauterize it with a silver nitrate stick, and it would just immediately relieve. So castor oil can do that. Peppermint oil can do that. Then you just rinse your mouth out. A few minutes later, you do that 2 or 3 times a day. Silver nitrate had the skull and crossbones on it because it was poison. So when people had canker sores, and I was going to stick that in their mouth, they would, the little pack has the skull and crossbones on it. And I said, well, you wouldn't drink this stuff. I'm just going to touch it on your thing, on your canker sore. We used it in gynecology for people that's cervical biopsies. For abnormal pap smears, it would immediately get rid of bleeding from a cervical biopsy, silver nitrate. Okay, soothing muscle aches and pains directly in the skin. Penetrating deep decreases inflammation, leading to pain relief and soreness relief. Some use it to relieve insomnia. So instead of taking all the yucky habit-forming insomnia recipes, of course, melatonin, 20 milligrams will help, but castor oil rubbed on your eyelids has been used to help with insomnia. Okay, so it basically relaxes you, apparently. I'm not sure I buy that one, and I don't have insomnia because I take melatonin. Okay, corns, you can eliminate corns. They're painful, they're irritating. I've never had one. I know people that have. You soak your feet and you apply castor oil to corn. About 10 days later, you can peel the corn off. Okay, and then the antifungal properties. So ideal for yeast infections, athlete's foot, ringworm. You mix it with coconut oil and leave it on the skin. And that supposedly will help with fungal infections of the skin. Makes sense because they mix it in miconazole, which is used for vaginal yeast infections, or just yeast infections. So that's my little take. I did it in 28 minutes on 30 uses of castor oil. Again, no scientific data. But who's going to do a science study on a $5 per 30 cc bottle of castor oil? I don't think it's like my mother would give it to me just for illness in general. But if you want to swallow it, it'll help you with constipation. So if you're a chronically constipated person, I was talking to this young lady yesterday, and she said, yeah, she said, I just can't abide by the taste. She said, however, you could chase. I said, well, you could chase it. And she said, yeah, I guess you can hold your nose, take your castor oil, and do a shot of bourbon, and that might make it a little bit better, right? Okay, so that's my little thoughts for my birthday. Castor oil, still around. It's inexpensive. If this speaks to you, you want to try it, fine. You're not going to hurt yourself. The FDA even says so. So y'all have a great day. I'm going to celebrate my birthday. I'm not sure how. But I'll come up with something, and I'll talk to you Monday morning at 9:30. All right? See you later. Bye. Peace and health.